Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I'm sure you read the title, and today I'm going to be sharing my labor and delivery story with Bexley. I know that when mommy influencers have a baby, this is like the first video that they put out after they have a baby. And that is obviously not what I did. You can't find a labor and delivery video, well, like a story time on this channel. I did vlog Bexley's birth, but a lot went down before and in the middle and after that I've never ever talked about. And this was obviously the best day of my life. And if you didn't know, women typically forget their labor and stuff after they give birth. It's like a chemical thing in your brain so that you'll have more babies. Actually, that's a thing. Your body makes you forget so that you'll have more babies, which is insane. And so this is something that I want to look back on and have all the details and remember. With Bexley's birthday being this month, it kind of just brought up all of those memories and stuff. And so I wanted to share that with you guys. So I was having pretty much contractions all throughout December, like Braxton Hicks and stuff, and they weren't super painful, but around 2 weeks before I gave birth, my contractions got so bad at night. I constantly could not sleep, and I was like, I'm gonna have the baby, today's the day. I would text my mom, hey, don't be alarmed if I text you in the middle of the night, I'm going to the hospital, things like that. But I could always sleep through them, and I knew that if I was in actual labor, I would not be able to sleep through it. There was one night, and it was 2 days before I actually gave birth, that I was this close to going into the hospital. I was timing my contractions on a app. I was gonna go in, but then I ended up falling asleep again. And so I was I don't understand why I'm going through all this, so much pain and not having a baby. And then on January 6th, it was a normal day. My contractions got really bad late at night, and I got in the shower, and when I got out, I was bleeding. Okay, I was bleeding a lot. And there's something called a bloody show that will happen. To some women it doesn't, to some it does. And so I was freaking out. I was like, what is this? This was never shared, but around 30 weeks, the same thing happened to me. All of a sudden I was just bleeding a lot, there. And I thought I was having a miscarriage. I immediately, I told Eli, and then he drove me to the hospital, and we're both crying in the waiting room, waiting for them to take us back to see if everything's okay. Everything did end up being okay, but that was still a scary experience. And then for that to be happening again, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is a good sign, my bloody show, the baby's about to come, or if something bad is happening. And so while I was bleeding, I was like, hey, we're going to go to the hospital just to check. It doesn't hurt to check. I'm sure they have mothers in there all the time thinking they're in labor, but they're actually not. And so I knew that I wanted to be presentable. I'd also had just gotten out of the shower, and so I looked like a wet dog, okay, out of the shower. I have very thin hair, okay. I look like a wet dog coming out of the shower. So I was like, I'm just gonna put on some makeup, blow dry my hair to be a little more presentable. And so that's what I did, and then we started the vlog, and that is my favorite vlog of all time. I watch that video all the time, and every time it makes me cry because it's just so special. It's just a special little memory. But we got to the hospital. It was nighttime. It was 7 p.m., something like that, so it was after dinner. Thank goodness I ate dinner, because they don't let you eat once you go into the hospital. It's a thing in America. I don't know. And I had always been I'd always been a few centimeters dilated, and I was for weeks. I was 3 centimeters dilated for weeks. And so my doctor thought that Bexley was going to come really early, because I was so many centimeters dilated. And usually that kind of progression takes a while. And she didn't come early. She was born like 5 days before her due date. Anyways, he was talking about like 2 weeks, so I got really excited, but that was not the case. So I went in and I was 4 centimeters dilated, and they told me that if in an hour I progressed to 5 centimeters, then they would keep me. And so that is what happened. An hour later, I was 5 centimeters dilated. And I also gave birth in 2022, okay? So COVID was still like happening and stuff, and there was a lot of regulations about hospitals. So we could only have one other person in the delivery room with us, with me, and obviously that person was going to be her dad. And growing up, it was just a thing that like when someone in the family was giving birth, everybody went to the hospital. Like when my cousins were giving birth, I went to the hospital to see the baby be born at the ripe age of 12, okay? It was just a thing. And I growing up with that, that's what I've always wanted. I always wanted, like, whoever wanted to be in the room could be in the room. I would not care. And that's still how I feel. But because of COVID regulations, there was like a loophole. The only other person you could have besides your support person was a doula, okay? So bless her heart, my mom took the online courses to become a doula so that she could be in the room with me, and I'm so grateful for that every single day, because going through like literally labor, I would never ever want to do that without my mom, you know what I mean? If there was one other person I could have in the room, it would have been her. So I was really, really, really grateful that she took those steps to do that. Like, that was super special to me. So we called my mom. She came to the hospital, and at 5 centimeters, they transferred me to another room. I knew that I wanted an epidural, and I didn't really tell that to them. But because they saw that I had a doula, they were like, we'll get like a ball, like one of the big yoga balls, to help you with your unmedicated birth. And I was like, hold on. I was like, oh no, I want the epidural. And they were like, oh, we just thought because you had a doula, and usually doulas like help you through the pain and help you breathe and like do things to, make your labor easier unmedicated. They just assumed that I wanted to be unmedicated. And I was like, no, give me the epidural. And my mom was like, tell them you want the epidural like right away, right when you get transferred into that room, because it can take a while before they get like an anesthesiologist to come down and give it to you. So that's what we did. And I got my epidural at 5 centimeters dilated, which seems really dramatic because my contractions were not that painful. And looking back, I don't know if I could, because I don't know. I've never done the whole like 10 centimeters like full contractions, but I think next time I will not get the epidural, because, well, if there's a next time, because it freaked me out so bad not being able to move my legs. Obviously, that's like the whole point. You can't feel anything. I think I have a problem, and I don't know what it is. But I was having a panic attack, okay, because I could not move my legs. I had to have Eli, Bexley's dad, like pick up my legs and rotate them, because it was like so trippy. It was like I was paralyzed from the waist down, but like it was scary because I felt like I was trapped, and I did not like that feeling at all. So I don't know if I'll get that again, because it really messed me up here, okay? Really messed me up. My labor went on for a long time, but I couldn't feel any of it, so it was fine. The epidural can slow down your labor, which I knew that going into it. So when they were like, we have to give you, can we give you Pitocin to like speed things up? I said yes. My mom warned me about Pitocin, because my Aunt Crystal got it, when she was giving birth, and it made her contractions super painful because it speeds things up and makes you contract more, but I couldn't feel anything. So Pitocin was the best thing ever for me, because it just helped things move along. I was stuck at like a 7 for a long time, and then finally, I was dilated to a 10. They had to break my water. Oh, my light just died. You know what? It's fine. My light just died. We're just gonna move on. They had to break my water, and I couldn't feel anything, so I don't know if it was like the movies where you like have a big gush of like whatever, but I did notice that like when they would change the, like, because they put it like a towel under me or something to kind of help catch the water and things like that. I was still bleeding. Like, I bled the whole way through my labor. That did not stop, which was kind of scary. I was like, is this normal? When I was 10 centimeters dilated, the nurses said I could start doing some practice pushes. And this part is in my labor and delivery vlog, but we never talked about it. Okay, so all of a sudden I'm doing these practice pushes, and I push like 2 times, okay? And the nurses start, not freaking out, but they were like, whoa, 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 whoa. And they closed my legs, okay? And I was like, what? And they were like, we saw the baby's head. Like, we're going to call your doctor. Don't push. Like, keep your legs closed. Don't push. Like, they were like, don't do anything. And one of the nurses joked about it, and she was like, are you sure you've never done this before? Like, you really know how to push. And so then they called for a baby catcher, which was really terrifying, because they didn't know if my doctor was going to get there in time. Thankfully, my doctor's office is right down the street, like literally 2 minutes away from the hospital. So I was like, dude, come here. Like, what are you doing? And it had happened before when I was in the office and the doctor was super late for our appointment because there was someone having a baby. So I was hoping and praying that he would get there on time. And like I said, this was in the, still COVID time. So all the nurses were wearing face masks, and before we got in there, we asked, do we have to wear those? Do I have to wear one, while I'm giving birth? And the nurses said no. They were like, if you're comfortable with it. We all got COVID tests, and all of us were negative, so it wasn't a big deal, they said. As long as, when we're in the hallways, we have to wear masks, which is fine. So when my doctor got there, which is important for later, that information. Okay. So when my doctor got there, I pushed maybe 5 times, and Bexley was out. Best day ever. It was the weirdest experience, and you can hear it in my birth vlog. But when she was finally out, it was so shocking because it felt like my stomach had deflated. I couldn't feel anything, like I said. So when when they got her fully out and, I hadn't even seen her yet, I felt my stomach literally, whoop. That's what it felt like. It was the weirdest feeling ever. And so I go, because I was like, oh my gosh, she's out. I could tell she was out because my stomach, it felt like something, came out of me. I was like, oh my gosh, which obviously something comes out of you. But it was the weirdest feeling. I can't even explain it in words. It was just weird. So I go in my birth video because it was a weird feeling. Anyways, and then after that, we kind of just had our peaceful moments. After I gave birth, I felt like I could walk because they move you from your delivery room to a different room. And I obviously had the epidural, so my legs cannot move, but I was certain I could walk. And they're holding on to me to get me into this wheelchair to move me to the other room. And I was like, no, guys, I can walk. And they're like, no, you can't. No, you can't. We just reversed the epidural. You cannot walk. I just thought I was invincible, honestly. And they move us to a different room while you're walking down the hallway, while I'm wheeling down the hallway. They play a special song for every woman who gives birth, which I thought was really special. And then we get into the room. My mom had to leave because I was not giving birth anymore, and she was just the doula. So I was really sad about that. But then people started bringing us food because we couldn't leave the hospital because of COVID stuff. Eli could only leave once, and it was just to go into the lobby to pick up food. And we couldn't figure out how to order from the kitchen. We could not figure it out, and we asked 3 times, and it seemed like nobody knew how to do it. So I don't know. We just didn't order hospital food, which I actually love hospital food, and I was really looking forward to that. I was also super hungry because I went into labor at 7. So when we got to the hospital, I didn't have her until 11 something. So by this time it's almost 1, and I had not eaten anything, and I was starving. So we got Chick-fil-A. Eli's family brought us Chick-fil-A, which was really nice. I was super sad that no one could come in and meet Bexley though, but it's fine. And then they had us watch a 2-hour video on how to take care of a child. And I'm so type A, like, I had already done, like, all this research and stuff. Like, I read every blog there was to read. I read front and back of what to expect when you're expecting. The What to Expect When You're Expecting app has, like, groups you can join where you can post anything and, like, talk about things. And so I literally read, I swear, every single thread on there. I was prepared, okay? I knew everything. And so this video, I was like, I don't know if everybody has to watch this video or if it's just because we were young. But I was like, can we watch something, like, turn on Netflix? Like, why are we watching this video? But everything was going fine. I did have a nurse who was kind of rude to me. I guess she's just doing her job, but, like, we had to keep this log of whenever Bexley, like, went to the bathroom or when she ate and stuff, and Bexley was eating and going to the bathroom, but I would just forget, like, I just had a baby, okay? And we're obviously new parents, and so I'm kind of stressed about breastfeeding. Like, there's just, like, a bunch, I'm literally bleeding, I have a diaper on, okay? And there's just a lot going on, and so for me to have to, like, fill out this, like, log that proves to you that I'm taking care of my baby, she just got, like, so mad about it that, like, I wasn't filling it out. And I would remember every now and then to fill it out, but she was like, you have to fill this out. Like, I'm not letting you leave unless you fill this out. Like, just I was like, oh my gosh. Like, are you okay? I don't know. It just was not a good experience with her. Thankfully, the shifts changed, happened soon. It was just that first night. And I was like, can you shut up, please? That's kind of aggressive, but, like, I had just given birth. Like, I have 10,000 other things on my mind. I don't need you, like, whatever. Then they took Bexley to take a bath, like a little sponge bath. Eli went with her because I was like, don't let that baby out of your sight. I've seen Jane the Virgin too many times. When Jane gave birth, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. It's on Netflix. Watch it. It's a really good show. But when Jane gave birth, her baby got snatched. And I was like, that's not happening to me. So I told Eli, I was like, go. Like, go. And I felt so bad because Eli had stayed up literally the whole time I was in labor. And I was sleeping. I was like, I'm going to bed. I don't care. I'm going to sleep. If I can sleep, I'm going to sleep. I won't be getting it for a while. So, and then Bexley was having a hard time, like, staying latched. So we called for a lactation consult in the morning. And this is the day that we were going to leave. So she came in and I wasn't expecting, like, I don't know what the lactation consult was going to do, but I was not expecting what she did. And so I'm wearing a robe, obviously easy access. And she, I don't know if I can talk about this on here. She, she's like, undo your robe. And I was like, okay, I grew up Mormon. Okay. In my brain, I have engraved modest is hottest. Okay, I've never, like, flashed anybody, and no one has seen these that wasn't supposed to see them. So I was like, okay. And so I undo my robe, and I'm just, like, exposed. And she grabs my boob, and she starts, like, squeezing it to get the milk out. I was like, is this happening right now? Like, I was like, I know it's her job. I know, but I was like, okay, girl, you do your thing, like, whatever. And then it was time to leave. I had not showered. The shower hospital was gross. I did not want to go in there. I did not want to do that. So I wanted to wait till I got home to shower. And I don't know if it was, like, after I gave birth, my sense of smell was heightened, but all I could smell was my BO. And I would ask Eli, like, should I shower? Like, what should I do? Like, I feel like I smell so bad. And he was like, you smell good. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and he was being so serious. So I think it was my nose, like, playing tricks on me. I don't know. So we got Bexley in her little going home outfit. It was newborn size, and it was too big. I was like, oh my gosh, she's so little and teeny. And then we tried to put her in the car seat. We could not figure out how to work the car seat straps. It was too small. So I had to call a nurse, and I was like, I feel so stupid, but I don't know how to do this. And so then she was like, I don't know either. So we had to call another nurse, and she was like, I'll make sure the nurse I call is a mom, and she'll know how to do it. So it took 2 nurses to help us with the car seat, but that was okay. And then we walked out of the hospital. And we got in the car. They let Eli go out first to like get the car in the front of the hospital so we didn't have to walk that far. And I sat in the back with her, and the first song Bexley ever heard, is really important to me, was All Too Well by Taylor Swift. That was really important to me that was her first song that she ever heard. And then after that, Eli put on Tupac because he wanted to, give her some culture, which is good. We love Tupac. Anyways, so yeah, that was really special. We've also I feel so like I'm unlocking new information for you guys. And then we get home, and this is where like the reason why it took me so long to even vlog after I gave birth, or like film anything, or film this birth story. This is why. Okay. And I don't know if I was being dramatic or what, but I had just given birth and my hormones were like this, okay? So we get home, and the first night is good, okay? Then the next morning I wake up with a fever, and I read like I said, I like to be well informed. So on the way home from the hospital, I read that the discharge papers front to back like 3 times. And in there it said that if I had a fever, like I needed to go into the hospital immediately. And so I woke up with a fever. And immediately I started bawling my eyes out. I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, I just had a baby and now I'm going to die and I'm going to leave you alone as a single dad and like a widow and blah, blah, blah. And I was freaking out. I cried for hours. And I'm calling my mom, and she's like, call your doctor, like, see if you need to go in. And so I call my doctor. They're on lunch break. That should not be allowed. Like, somebody should be in there answering the phones. Even if they're all on lunch break, like one person, get an intern. I don't know. But I was freaking out. And then I had to leave a voicemail. And I'm like crying on the phone in the voicemail. And then like an hour later, I get a call back from the doctor's office. And they're like, hey, what's going on? And so I explained to them, and I still have a fever. And then she's like, you're fine. Like, don't freak out. If you have a fever for more than 3 days, go into the hospital. So I was like, oh, I am being dramatic. Anyways, but it was really, like it was in the moment, it was so traumatizing, and I don't know. I do not know. But yeah, that is it. That is my labor and delivery story, okay? It was kind of chill. My pregnancy was super hard, and then my birth was really easy, and then after, we all know that happened, right? Now you know. And then I had crippling postpartum depression for a year. So I feel like my easy birth was like, what the universe owed me for like the beginning and the after. But yeah, that is the story of the best day of my freaking life. I love Bexley so much, and I'm so glad that, she's here. And she's been here for 2 years. She's my little bestie. And I wouldn't have it any other way. So, yeah, that is the end of my labor and delivery story. And sorry it took me so long to share. But it's also really personal. Like, it really is. And I was obviously going through a lot. So, yeah. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Comment down below your favorite part. If you've had a baby, comment down below your favorite part of your, labor and delivery story. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!